Morning, welcome in. How's everyone today? Just getting started. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. How's everyone today? So please read the show notes when you come in, especially if you're new to me, make sure you read the show notes. Hey, Lynn, how are you doing? Everything going smooth now? Hopefully. Oh my goodness. So we my husband is sick with a nasty cold, so it's been kind of a rough couple of days for him. And he's the type of person that when he gets a cold, he always ends up getting bronchitis because he's just kind of susceptible to that. So it's the pits. So I'm trying to keep him healthy and keep myself from getting sick. You're trying to schedule your shows this morning. Okay, good. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining. Please read the show notes. And let's have someone message me about shipping. So if you're here, say hello and let me pin a couple of things to help those of you who are needing help with shipping. Yeah, he's up in bed, hopefully resting because he hardly could sleep last night. Ended up in the family room on the couch for a while trying to sit up because he was coughing. Poor thing. All right, so this is a document that I put together that helps you decide what shipping settings are going to work best for you based on what you sell. So the one that I just pinned, welcome in Pickle Pie. So if you're needing help with shipping, that's the first thing to read. If you're brand new and you've never looked at anything, please go to the Seller Academy, which is the third bullet in the show notes, selleracademy.whatnot.com. Go there and go through all the tutorials first, and then, come to shows like this and get further details. Julia asked, I'm getting ready to try to do my first show to D-Stash. Is there a certain time of day that's best? Honestly, no. The best time of day is the time that you have that you can focus and dedicate to doing a show. Because there's people on the app 24/7, and you'll find your niche. So just try starting out with the time that works best for you and be consistent. And if it's not, if you feel like the time is, not working, switch it up or keep it and then try something else on a different day and mix, go back and forth until you kind of settle on what's working best. That's my best advice. Because sometimes it's good to be on when other big sellers are on. Sometimes it's bad to be on when other big sellers are on. You just have to decide, kind of where it works for you. Yeah, that's really the best advice I can give about time. Because it really focusing on, what works best for you and the time that you have that you can be totally focused on doing your show and most relaxed and able to, be 100% there instead of, other things in your life disturbing, interrupting, all that kind of stuff. So that's my best advice for that. Um, all right, so I have that choosing basic shipping settings pinned if you need to go through that. And then in the show notes at the top, second paragraph is my YouTube channel. So go in the show notes. It's that little thing with the talking head right there. That's my YouTube channel. And if you go to my YouTube channel and go to the lives, And I also have a, um, what do you call it? I can't remember. Where you can group certain things together. I have a watch list in there. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, go to my lives and find the shows that are called Don't Sink Your Shipping. There's multiples called that. The There's 3 that are called that, and they have a little ship emoji as the first thing on the title for the show. Find those. The first one, um, probably your best bet is to watch the second and third one because those are the most up to date. And in the second one, I show you all the boxes. I go through all the settings and everything to try and help you figure out what's going to work for you. Because the thing with shipping is there's no one set way to set your shipping because it just depends on what you sell. Hey, Faye West, good morning. Ooh, I like your new logo. That's nice. Pretty bird on there. Welcome in. So, yeah, you've got to really decide what's going to work best for you based on what you sell because it's based on, the kind of items you sell and also the volume you sell at and the amount of items that you have at certain sizes. And sometimes you have to decide to not sell certain things or curate your show so that you sell small stuff in one show, bigger stuff in another show. It just really depends on what's going to work. So you've got to read through this that I have pinned on the screen. Just tap it on your screen, tap it again to make it big, and then take a screenshot. So, and then read through that and figure it out. Newer sellers do not have the ability right now to offer reduced shipping. So your settings are just going to be either flat rate or priority on 1 to 5 pounds, and then either priority or grand advantage on 5 pounds and over. And then buyer pays all. Those are your choices right now because they've taken away reduced shipping for new sellers because too many new sellers didn't know what they were doing and they were really mucking it up and causing a lot of returns, cancellations, etc., etc. And so it's I think that's a good thing. I know it will be a little bit harder for some new sellers to get traction because people like the reduced shipping, but if you're smart about how you do it, it will be fine. So go through that and figure it out. And then the other thing I have in here with that's related to shipping that I think is really helpful is this document that I'm pinning now. This was put together by Blaze and Bunny, and it just shows you the different packaging. So it shows you the different postal service options, labels that you would be able to print, and which boxes you can or can't use with that label. So if you're new to reselling and don't really understand how the postal service works, please read through or look at this every time you're trying to decide until you have it down. So take a screenshot of this one as well. And it doesn't seem like it should be that complicated, and it's really not. But people just get confused about the difference between the different services and what type of packaging you can or can't use with those types of packaging. So, depending on your label. All right. So question, has anyone done some shipping in the like yesterday? Did anyone do some shipping yesterday? Did your labels look different? So that's my question. Did you do some shipping yesterday and did your labels look different? Anyone do shipping yesterday? Welcome in. Thanks for joining. Please read the show notes. If you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark so they show up bold so I can make sure not to miss them. And I'm Dana, aka Draz, and I just come on every Tuesday and Thursday morning when I walk on my treadmill for exercise, and I get on and chat with you guys to help you while I walk. Do you have to have a label printer? No. But at a certain point, it will make your life so much better that you'll want one. But you can definitely start out selling without one. So just use, I mean, you do have to have a printer of some sort because you've got to print the labels, but you can print them on paper, cut them out, and just tape them on packages. That's fine. And if you're just starting out and you're only doing a little bit at a time, that's totally 100% fine. I actually started out without a label printer, believe it or not. And I've been reselling since the 1990s, but only part-time. And then we went ahead and got a label printer, and I wished I'd had one since they were invented. That'll tell you how much easier it is to use. It just makes it a lot easier. But you do have the expense of the labels, but a thermal label printer means no more ink. So think about it that way. How much you spend on ink way exceed the expense of doing a label printer once you get to a certain level where you're doing a lot of shipping. So, yeah. And then when you do decide to get one, which you will if if you're having any amount of success, you will want to get one. Just go on Amazon and find the one that has the best ratings, doesn't require proprietary labels, meaning you can buy the generic labels, and that is returnable if something's wrong with it. They mass produce those things, and just like every other kind of electronic, sometimes you get it and it doesn't even work the minute you unload it and plug it in. So make sure it's returnable, easily returnable, has good ratings, and doesn't need special labels. So those are the things about those. And it just depends which one's on sale, because there's all kinds of good ones. They change the name, they, change which one's on sale every day, it seems like. For small items like ribbon or epoxy molds, which method of shipping is cheapest? Flat rate. So anyone that sells items that are smaller or easily compactable, your best bet is always 1 to 5 pounds flat rate for two reasons. That gives your buyers the best rate, and it gives you as the seller the best rate if by any chance they exceed a certain amount of items, then you're only paying $9.21 or less if you have to unbundle their order, because you pay based on what they order if you have to unbundle or use your shipping exceptions. So flat rate's always best if it works for you. It doesn't always work for everybody. So, you just have to decide based on what you sell. So your options for shipping are everything under a pound automatically goes ground advantage unless you, as the seller on the back end, change it to flat rate and agree to pay the extra cost. Everything 1 to 5 pounds either goes priority, regular priority, or priority flat rate. And then everything over 5 pounds can either go priority, priority flat rate, or ground advantage, depending on what you set it for. The best deal for the customer is always flat rate, but that's not always going to work depending on what you sell. So you just have to, like I said, you've got to go through and figure out what is going to work. Is that also the best way to do reduced shipping, flat rate? So if you're a new seller, um, the best way to still give them the best shipping rate is, yes, to set it for flat rate. But if what you sell is not going to fit in flat rate packaging, then the best rate for them is actually the Ground Advantage over 5 pounds. In my opinion, is it best to have verified buyer switched on or off? I've never had it turned on. Um, all it really does is prevent someone who doesn't have a verified account from bidding or buying from you. I have had a few people buy out of my marketplace who were obviously scammers, but I still get paid. I mean, I feel bad about it, but I still get paid, because they've, stolen a credit card and run it through to try and see if it works. And then I ship it and it comes back to me. No one like this exists because they're just using someone's credit card and name. So that's on the banks. But yeah. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, about chunky. I was going to say, you just really have to research and figure out what you're going to be able to fit. So go to the post office and get a large flat rate and the two different medium flat rate boxes and play around with what you sell to make sure what's going to fit. 'Cause those are your main three options. And then you can order from the post office the bubble mailers that are they're like a large envelope size padded mailer, poly bubble mailer. And you can use those too. And then if you sell really small stuff that's over a pound, you can also use the small flat rate boxes. So, you're very limited. You really only have, four main packaging options with flat rate. That's the limitation. Whereas with priority, you can either use your own packaging or the free priority boxes from the post office. And there's a lot more options for those. But if everything's under 5 pounds, they still get that 921 rate. So the only time it goes over 921 is if they buy over 5 pounds of items. And that's why it's really important when you're new to try and make sure your shipping weight is as accurate as possible so that you're not overcharging your customers on shipping. So, but the weight of your listing needs to be the weight of the item plus whatever the packaging weight is going to be. So you may have an 8-ounce item, but by the time you bubble wrap it, put paper, and use the box, it may be over a pound. And so then your shipping weight would be over a pound for that item. So you just have to really kind of figure that out. So yeah, go through those documents. So all the documents that I share are in my auction tab. So hit the shop and go to the auction, and all of these documents are about different topics, and you can just copy them. You just, take screenshots of them and use those to help figure out what's going to work for you. And I would say when it comes to shipping, please, when you're taking shipping advice, make sure that the person giving the advice is someone who is talking about it either overall in general, or that they're talking about it based on the similar types of items that you sell. Because you may have someone tell you, oh, do this, but then you find out they sell trading carts and you sell large vintage items. totally different shipping for those kinds of items. So make sure you get shipping advice from someone who sells similar items to what you sell, or they're telling you based on, that you need to figure it out based on what you sell. You're so welcome. And yeah, all of my seller chats are multicast onto YouTube. So you can go to my YouTube channel and go to the lives and rewatch any of my seller chats. And I do usually have a topic on the ones that were about shipping or other specific topics. So you'll be able to find them that way. The ones I do on Tuesday, Thursday, walk and talk, it's kind of all over the place. But you can, rewatch those at any time. All right. So yeah, if you have questions, comments, put a question mark in it so it shows up bold in the chat. What does everyone need to talk about? I was asking earlier if anyone shipped yesterday and their labels when they printed them looked different than they used to. Did anyone have that experience? I'm asking for a specific reason because they are changing how the labels, the packing slips, I should have said the packing slips, the packing slips look. And I don't know if they've rolled it out to everybody yet. And I'm curious, if you were able to print and they looked different than they did before. Hey, Stacy, welcome in. So yeah, we've been talking about shipping. So I told everybody to take a screenshot of this document right here that I just pinned. So just tap the picture on your screen, tap it again, make it big. Take a screenshot of that I have pinned, choosing basic shipping settings. And then my YouTube channel is in the show notes. So take a screenshot of the show notes with my YouTube channel, go find my YouTube channel, use the ampersand. So like type in my username exactly with the ampersand because it's hard to find otherwise. And then go to my lives in YouTube and rewatch the shows that are called Choosing Basic Shipping Settings. Or no, sorry, it's called Don't Sink Your Shipping. So this document is Choosing Basic Shipping. But the YouTube shows are called Don't Sink Your Shipping. So they were the same yesterday for me, but it took 5 times for it to preview and print. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's interesting feedback. Like it wouldn't come up, like it was delayed. It was just spinning. Is that what you mean? So let me just show you. I'll show you on my screen really quick. The YouTube channel so you can easily find it. So go to YouTube and in your search, type in at Draz on Whatnot. It's all one word, but use the ampersand. So at Draz on Whatnot, all one word. And then see how I'm just right there with my logo sandwiched between some other crap. So just tap that. And then when you're in my channel, the little menu there is home video shorts live. You want live. And see how we're live right now? So I multicast onto here. So we're live right now on there, but hit the lives and then find the one that has the little ship in front of it. So you're going to be scrolling for a little bit because I do lots of shows. But here's the last one. So that's the most recent one. That one we talked mostly about custom shipping profiles. You're going to want the one before that that has the ship. because that one I showed you all the boxes and kind of really went through that whole document. And the only thing that has changed is that you're going to need to, um, if you're new enough and you don't have the ability to do the reduced shipping, then instead of reduced shipping, you're just going to always have it set for buyer pays all, because that's the only one. So that's the one with the ship that you're going to want to watch. Where I show all the boxes and everything. So see the little ship on the title. All right, so go watch that on YouTube and use this document that I have pinned to help you decide what's going to work best for shipping. Okay. All right. Well, welcome in Monet Mon. I have the document pinned there. Choosing basic shipping settings. Just tap that picture of the purple document. Tap it again. Take a screenshot. Okay. And then the YouTube channel is what I was just showing. It's in my show notes. So take a screenshot of my show notes and you're going to be able to get my YouTube, which is right there. Go to YouTube channel and watch the lives that are titled Don't Sink Your Shipping. There's 3 different ones. The second one is probably your best option for learning how to do just your basic shipping. And then the most recent one, we talked about custom shipping profiles. So, and how to set those up. Do you think eventually new sellers will be able to offer reduced shipping? Yes. They just haven't specified. I think it's going to be honestly based on individual sellers. So they haven't said, at what point you'll get reduced shipping. But I think once a new seller proves themselves and has met certain targets, like you've met your 1,000 sales, you've shipped out X number of items, whatever, I think you'll be able to ask and they'll give it to you. So but they have not specifically said, everyone who meets this, and this will eventually, will get it. I think they're going to do case by case right now because they've just had so many problems with new sellers coming on that don't even figure out how to do shipping, just start selling, and then they cancel all their orders or don't ever ship them out because they don't know how to do it, and it's all messed up. So yeah, you like pirate ship because it's so cheap. Well, Whatnot shipping is actually better than pirate shipping. You just have to know how to use it. So for the customers, it actually works very well. So, it's just kind of the difference on Whatnot is you have to think about it this way. On other platforms, you're usually selling people 1 or 2 items at a time, right? Someone goes on to eBay, they buy an item. Someone goes on to Mercari, they buy an item. Someone goes on to Poshmark, they buy 1 or 2 items. And then you ship them. On Whatnot, you have live shows and people can potentially buy hundreds of items in your show because they find that many items they want. It's a whole different ball game when you're selling live and people can potentially buy, hundreds of items in a single show. And then you have to try to figure out how to ship them that many items out of a show. Now, rarely is that going to happen in most people's shows, but in my shows, I often sell. I think the record is I've had a couple of people buy 50 or more items. So it does happen, and the way to ship 50 items versus 1 item, big difference. So that's the difference. You've got to learn how to be able to ship whatever people buy because there's no predictability. You have no way of knowing when you go live if people are going to buy one item or 20 items. And so the way that Whatnot Shipping works is it tries to bundle them in the best possible way to give the buyer the cheapest shipping. And big sellers pay part of the shipping. It's part of their business model. They want to do the reduced shipping to give their buyers the best deal, and they pay part of the shipping. That's part of their business model. When you're a new seller and you have a low volume of sales, you of course can't afford to pay people's shipping. You would make nothing. So you have to learn how to do the shipping. Crazy Fabric says, I got a 10-pound box of fabric yesterday in yards and fat quarters. I felt bad for the seller, but the deals were too good. Well, most likely that seller either has the reduced shipping and flat rate turned on and you got a whole box for $9.21 and they didn't pay anything extra. So, or if it was one of the bigger sellers and it was more than would fit in a flat rate or priority box, then they paid a little bit of the shipping, but that's okay because that's part of their business model. So it just depends. Okay. So I rarely to never, I can't remember honestly the last time that I had to pay part of the shipping because I know how to set my shows up. I know what my limits are. I know what to put in my shows so that I can, have my shows set so that I can give everybody really good deals, including buying a ton and ship it out and not have to pay. Okay. So it was shipped in a copy paper box. Yeah. So they probably either did have to pay a little bit of it or they used one of their exceptions. So sellers get 5 exceptions a week. And that means that if you have, 5 instances where you have to unbundle or put their order in a box that's bigger than a flat rate box, then you do it. And then Whatnot picks up the extra 5 times. If you sell more than that over the 5, those are usually the bigger sellers who are, as part of their business model, helping pay part of the shipping. And that's okay because that they sell enough and they sell at a high enough volume that it's just part of their cost. So I know a lot of sellers who pay $200 to $300 every show in shipping costs, but it's worth it to them because they sell enough at a high enough dollar that it works out. Does that make sense? So you just have to, you have to figure out your business model. You've got to figure it out, what's going to work for you. And you curate your shows so that you know how much you're going to be able to sell and still be able to stay within. And then sometimes you stop your show because you look at what someone has bought and you're like, okay, I've got to stop because one person has bought so much stuff that I'm going to have to put their stuff in 4 boxes and I'm going to use all my exceptions in one show. So you have to learn how to kind of curate your shows and set that up. And you also may have shows where you don't offer, flat rate or reduced shipping if you have that ability. Let's see. If the shipping of 921 starts over for the buyer, and say the buyer pays 1842, but it only costs me 921 to ship, does Whatnot keep the extra? Well, they will rarely ever to never refund people. So in that scenario, that tells me that you didn't have your weights set up correctly for how it should have been set up for shipping, because you shouldn't be overcharging your customers. So if you have it set up so that it hits the 1 to 5 pounds and then it flips into Ground Advantage and starts charging them more, you should make sure that you have your weights accurate. And if you're using just the range weights that they have in there, the default range weights, and it really isn't working for you, set up custom shipping profiles so that it's much more accurate for what you're selling, especially for people who sell really small, lightweight items. And if you're putting them in there at 0 to 1, but they're like way less than that, or or you're using 1 to 3 ounces, and it's too much weight and you're overcharging, use a custom profile so that it's, just less than an ounce, and adds that incrementally so that they don't get overcharged. Does that make sense? Would selling something like a book that weighs more than jewelry be worth it on here? Well, books, if you list them as books and you only sell books, it will actually calculate the shipping at the media rate. And then it's worth it. And then it flips it into priority if it goes over a certain weight. Because then at a certain point, if they buy a lot of books, the flat rate or priority rate is more cost effective than the media rate. So when you list books, CDs, DVDs, the things that can be shipped media, if they only buy media items, it will calculate it at media rate. It's automated. So, that's why I tell people list and sell at the correct weight and category so that when Whatnot calculates the shipping, it can only do it based on what you put in there. So if you're putting in inaccurate information, the system it can't read your mind. It can't look at your pictures and go, oh, this weighs this much. You have to put in correct weight on the items that you're selling. So you have to calculate the weight based on the item. And then if they bought only that one item, what would the packaging weight be? That is the weight that you need to put in. And I know it then over calculates if they buy multiple items, but if you have it set up, the best possible way, it's not going to overcharge too much. So, just be smart about how you list and how you sell your items so that it can calculate it as accurately as possible on the back end for you. You can change the shipping on the back end. So, if someone buys 5 items and it overcalculated it a little bit, and you're able to fit it in flat rate, but it didn't calculate it for flat rate, you can turn flat rate on and use flat rate. But it will not refund the customer any overages. So just keep that in mind. So do the best you can. Okay. $9.21 is the flat rate charge for anything 1 to 5 pounds, regardless of anything but weight. So as long as you calculated you in your listings and whatever they bought didn't go over 5 pounds, the customer's only going to get charged $9.21. If you have your 5 pound and over shipping set for also flat rate, they will only ever get charged $9.21 in the whole show, no matter how much they buy. If you have it set for 5 pounds and over, priority or ground advantage, it will be calculating the additional charge by weight. That's how it works. And it will unbundle sometimes and put them into separate orders depending on whether or not it's cheaper to have two different packages, one as a priority, one as a ground advantage, or, it just tries to do it based on what you've put in your listings as the weight. And that's why if you sell weird shaped, bulky, fragile, large items, use custom shipping profiles. And I went over those in my live in the YouTube show. The last one that I did that's called Don't Sink Your Shipping goes over how to enter and use custom shipping profiles. All right. And really, the shipping is not that difficult once you figure it out. You've just got to do your due diligence. Go to the Seller Academy, which is in the show notes. It's the third starred bullet in the show notes. Go watch the videos about how to do shipping in Seller Academy, and then use these documents that I've provided and go watch my YouTube channel shows about Don't Sink Your Shipping, and you should be able to figure it out. Another thing in here that kind of helps people recognize how it's done, because right now, Whatnot exclusively uses the post office, the US Postal Service, for shipping. This little chart that's called USPS commercial pricing, I took this right off the Postal Service's website. I just pinned it. Grab that and just tap it and tap it again to see it. So the way that they do shipping is based on zones and weight. So see how you've got down the first vertical column, weight, and then across the horizontal top column, you have zones. That's how the Postal Service does it. Now you're looking at this. This is ground advantage. And on Whatnot, everything under a pound automatically gets shipped ground advantage. You have no choice, no say in that, how they set it up initially. The only thing you can change differently from that on the back end is you could flip it to flat rate and, pay the extra charge or use one of your exceptions if you wanted to give your customer, a priority shipping instead of ground advantage. But then, you're using one of your exceptions or paying the extra. Jenny says, so when I ordered one piece for $7, I'm still paying $9 shipping. Yes, if it weighed over a pound. If it weighs over a pound. But if you look at every other platform out there, except for maybe some special exceptions like, obviously Amazon Prime, which you pay for. If you have Amazon Prime, you get free shipping. Remember, you're paying for that membership, and so it's not free. Poshmark has a couple of pretty good deals for shipping. But really $9.21 for anything over a pound is a really, really good rate. So Whatnot shipping rates are actually very good. If you go on to most of the other platforms and try to buy something over a pound, about the cheapest you're going to get is that. Maybe a padded mailer, and they specifically have it set for that at $8 and some change, but I think that's gone up. So yeah, it's actually a really good rate. So don't complain about shipping. It's a good rate on here. I mean, yeah, we don't love that shipping costs, but if you go into the post office and yeah, you're not complaining. But just, I like people to recognize that if you go onto the post office and pay retail rate for shipping, a a medium flat rate box is like $17 or something like that. It's crazy amounts. So Whatnot's rate is really, really good. And it's only gone up one time. So it started out at eight. I'm trying to remember what it was, eight something, and then it went up to the 921. So maybe it changed twice. Oh, I don't remember, but it stayed at 921 for the last 2 years. So flat rate medium was 22.60 that they just charged you on a personal shipping item. Yeah, that's insane, right? So 921 sounds pretty good to me. So especially since you can order a whole box full of something for that rate. If you were to go on one of the other platforms where things are mostly individually sold, where you're not buying from all the same buyer, I mean, think about the shipping that you're going to pay for all those individual items. So that's the beauty of Whatnot. You can come on to a single show and buy 20 items from a buyer or from a seller and then have that whole thing shipped for $9.21. That's a screaming deal, right? That's why we have a lot of buyers on Whatnot who source on Whatnot and turn around and sell them on other platforms because they're getting the best deal for their items and their shipping on Whatnot. And Whatnot even now has sellers who sell pallets. So, yeah, it's a pretty amazing platform. I've noticed people have changed their name. Why would you consider doing this? Well, like, for example, your username looks like something that was just a suggestion from Whatnot. And if you decide you want to sell and you want to be in a certain category and you want your name to be more specific to the category you're selling in, you would maybe consider changing your name so that it's more marketable as what you're selling. It just depends. You don't have to have a name that is exactly what you sell. I think sometimes that's a little bit risky because if you decide that you're going to come on here and sell, I don't know, plants, and you give your name something like hibiscus, whatever, and then it just isn't working for you, then you're stuck with a weird name that's kind of specific to that category. But also, you can have something that, if you're sure that's what you're going to do and it's recognizable and helps people remember, but I would be careful because, like, for example, the word vintage, and no offense to everyone doing vintage, but there's a million people out there with vintage in their name. They're a dime a dozen, right? So my business name is long, and as an artist and mother, I just put my favorite artist and mom together. Yeah, I think that's fine. And it's an easy enough name. People can look at that and go, oh, Monet, she must have something, to do with art. And yeah, I like it. And it's simple, but just, I mean, don't overthink it, don't overdwell on it. But yeah, if you decide to start selling and you want something a little bit more specific and catchy to what you're selling, that's why someone would change their name. Many that I've seen have been selling a long time ago. Why would they change? Um, Different reasons. Um, but if you started as one thing and then, for example, um, got a business license and started buying wholesale and have a website, then you may want to have everything be all the same. And so you would maybe change your name to be so it would be all the same across the board. Vicky says, I'm selling in two different categories. What would you do there? Doll clothes by Vicky, and I also have fabric. I would just stay with, it doesn't, your username is less important for branding than you think. It can be huge if you, let me give you an example. So, like House of Coop, does everyone know who they are? But their username is their last name, and they just used House of Coop, but it's become a brand and they've got a logo and it's a big deal and it works for them. But your username could just as easily become your brand as well. It just depends on, what you're doing. Yeah. So, and then Stacy is saying that she changed hers because she wanted people to actually know her name. Yeah. If it makes you more comfortable for people to be able to say, "Hey, Vicky," whatever. My name is kind of coincidental. It's my first two initials, and then AZ stands for Arizona because that's where um, I actually wasn't born there, but we lived there for most of our married lives, and I love Arizona and I want to live there again. But it's one of the usernames I've used for years, and it just works. It works for me. So, you just decide what works for you. And then if it's not working, or if something happens that makes you feel like I really need a reset or a start over, and you want to change your username, then do it. If it strategically is going to be a benefit for you to change it and do something different, go for it. You know, you just have to ask, and you have to then make sure if you have a following that people are aware of the name change so that they can continue to be able to find you and know and whatever, you know. So, but if they already follow you and have already bookmarked your upcoming shows, then they're going to see it. And then you probably want to put something in your profile that says something like previously this name, I've changed it to this, just so you have the recognition. Right. But yeah, I don't know. Some people will tell you that branding is everything, but you can become your brand. Your name doesn't have to be the most catchy, funky, whatever to it from the get-go, because you can have whatever name you already had, and that just becomes your brand because you've, been selling under that. You've made it a new brand. So that's fine. Anyone have any specific topics they want to talk about? Anything you're needing help with? Um, just share it in chat with the question mark and I'll try and address it. Go through the auction tab. So click on the shop. So on your screen, click the shop, and then it will usually default to buy it now. Switch it to the auction tab. All of the documents in there, there's 20 items in there, or just all different things having to do with different topics. And you can just go through there and screenshot any of those. There's a couple of them in there that I put just for reference, like this one is a screenshot of an interview that Kenny did on the Whatnot seller account with Colleen, who is one of the Whatnot product managers. And I just took a screenshot of that to tell you to go to the YouTube channel for Whatnot, which is the second star bullet, and go watch that video because she gives a lot of really good insight. Yeah, it's the second star bullet is Whatnot's official YouTube channel. Go there and watch that interview with Colleen. and it gives you a lot of really good insights about how the algorithms work to help you be seen as a seller. Um, so you have an insider, a product manager on Whatnot, telling you the things you need to do to be seen. You need to pay attention, right? So go watch that video. Honestly, people who do well on Whatnot, it's because they've put in the time to learn how to use the platform. They've put in the research to figure out how to what's going to work for you to sell, how to market it strategically, and they put in the time. What do I mean the time? Consistency is everything on this platform. You show up regularly, you have regular shows, you're constantly changing up, improving, figuring out what's going to work. And then, you can get into a really good position to have successful shows repeatedly because you've set yourself up. You've learned what you needed to learn. This is not a get rich quick platform. You have to work hard to make it work. You're not going to come on here and instantly be successful. The ones that seem like that happened for them, they still had to start somewhere. And you do have a few people that maybe had a huge following already on YouTube or on another platform that brought their crowd over and had pretty instant success. But that's the very rare exception. Everybody else had to work hard and build it up just like everyone else. Monet says, till I have my shipping right, should I just go live and chat to get some interest? Well, yeah, you can do that, but to figure out your shipping, really what you need to do is get some stuff listed and have what are called private practice shows. And actually don't have people who live in your own house because that could get you in trouble, that have friends or family that live somewhere else buy some things from you in those private shows and actually do the fulfillment so you know how the shipping's going to work before you go live with, you know, stranger customers. Stranger, that sounds weird. Strange, with just whoever. Okay. So have some private shows. You can sell whatever, but just have your friends and family that don't live in your house. And I'm saying that because that's important because you can actually screw up your account if it shows that people in your same IP address are buying from you because it will trigger some trust and safety issues if you have people in your own IP address buying from you because it triggers the like, oh my gosh, they have someone shill bidding in their shows. So be careful about that. Don't have your husband in your house buying from you on a different account. So have your mom, your aunt, your uncle who live farther away, your friends, come into your shows and help you make sure everything's set up right. You can practice running the auctions, you can practice having them buy things, and then you ship it to them. Yes, you actually ship it to them, and that's how you're going to learn how to do the shipping. So you're going to have to get some people on board to help you do that, but it will really help you because then you get to go through the entire process in a private show where the public is not there. So when you schedule your show, at the very bottom, you can click an option to do a private show. And nobody on Whatnot in the schedule is going to see that show. The way that you do that show and have people come is you send them the link to that private show. So when you're in that, you open up that show that you've created and you click the little share thing right here. See where it says share? And when you click that, you copy the link and then you just send it to everybody that you want to come to that show. So your friends and family. And then you actually have the show. They buy a few things, and then you can ship it to them and you can see how it works. And I would try, multiple items at different weights so that you can see how, you know, it all works. And I mean, just, send them their birthday present. I don't know, put things at $1 that you're willing to send to family and friends and do all different weights so you can figure out how the different categories work, you know, put in the actual listings and do a couple of those practice shows, and then you're going to know how it works before you actually go live and sell to the general public. Okay, that's why they set it up that way so you can do it that way. There's also a rehearsal. You can do rehearsal shows. You're not actually live and you can't actually sell anything. It just allows you to kind of walk through the process of seeing what it looks like, running an auction, but you can't actually have people bid or anything. It's just a rehearsal. It shows how to use everything. That's different than a practice show, private show. But yeah, do all of those things. So, and like I said, that's the difference between someone who's really in this for success and someone who's just trying to make something happen. Do your due diligence, learn how the platform works. I mean, if you've sold on other platforms, you had to learn how to use those other platforms. Whatnot is no different. It's just a new concept, a newer concept that's a little bit more difficult because of how you're going live and the potential of how much you can sell. That's the beauty and the difficulty, right? So category question, is a journal a book? I guess, and is a bookmark under books. So a journal is a book if it is a bound book that has, you know, that you're selling as a book. A bookmark cannot be sold as a book under media rate. And in fact, if you look at the media rate rules, you're not supposed to put anything else in with the media. Media rate is strictly for the book or the DVD or the CD. You're not supposed to even have like a little card or something in there. So, you can't put bookmarks under books. It would be, accessories or craft items or, whatever. So, yeah. Will the practice show rehearsal allow you to connect two devices to practice using a phone and an iPad? The practice show, yes. The rehearsal, yes, but like I said, because it's not live, you're not going to get as much information out of it as far as how it works because it's just kind of a dummy mock. It puts you inside a show so that you can learn how to use the settings and the different buttons to know how to run things and so on. So that's the difference. But yes, a practice show is a real live show. It's 100% as live as any other show. It's just not advertised to anyone except for who you invite through that link. So if that makes sense. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. So yeah, again, just go through that auction tab, screenshot anything in there that you think will be helpful. make sure you have a screenshot of my full show notes. The starred bullets in my show notes are all the official places that you go to get help and information on Whatnot or associated with Whatnot. So the first start bullet refers you to the Whatnot seller account that's here on Whatnot. It's an actual account, just like my account, and they do shows regularly on that account. And the bulk of them are focused at new sellers. So they do different tutorials and interviews and other things on there to help sellers learn how to use the app. They talk about updates to the app. So all the shows on that account are for the purpose, for the benefit of other sellers. So let me show you that account really quick. So Whatnot sellers. This is the account. This is what it looks like. It's all logoed for Whatnot. And their next show is on the 18th. And they're going to talk about how to attract buyers. So there you go. And then the 25th, seller best practices with Beauty Finds. They're going to interview the seller whose name is Beauty Finds. And I love the seller interviews because they help you pick the brain of someone who's successful. They, ask them questions about how did you start? What did you do? What's some secrets or some tips or whatever. And you learn a lot of really good insight from these other sellers who've had success when you listen to those interviews. And if you can't attend the live show, these shows are recorded and put on the YouTube channel. So that's why the second starred bullet is the YouTube channel. So go to the YouTube channel, which is at Whatnot app, type it in with the ampersand, and all those videos are posted on that account that you can rewatch. The third start bullet is Seller Academy. If you're new and want to learn how to sell, you need to go through all the tutorials. They're like it's like going to school online. You go and watch and go through all the little tutorials on Seller Academy. And it just teaches you all the different aspects of selling on Whatnot. And then the fourth start bullet is help.whatnot.com, which is the same thing as frequently asked questions inside the app. Either way, type a topic in there and you're going to be able to find information about that topic. I feel like they've done an amazing job of keeping that stocked with really good information about all different topics to help you as a seller. Use it. The fifth start bullet is the blog. So Whatnot has a blog, blog.teamwhatnot.com. They post articles, information, upcoming events, upcoming updates, talk about the business side of Whatnot. Go read the blog. And then the last start bullet is the Whatnot meetups. Go to that link, meetups.whatnot.com, to find out if there are any local seller events in your area, or you can also apply to host a local event. All right, so that is what is in my show notes. So make sure you have a copy of that. Sharon asks, once you start a show with a certain device, you have to stick with that one and can't switch back and forth, correct? Yes, that's correct, as long as you're just using a regular setup. If you use OBS software, you can switch. But OBS software is a whole different ball game, where you set up OBS on your computer and it has your different devices and you can switch between devices. But if you're just doing a regular setup where you go live from your phone and you're using a computer, an iPad as a second device to run your show, that is correct. You do have settings on your phone though that you can do some different things with. Let me show you one. So while you're live, you can click. So like I'm live right now, I can click the little three dots and you have an option in here for a camera preview. So if you do this from your device that you're on, it puts a little, let me do it from, let me see what it does if I do it from my camera phone. So on my camera, I'm going to click the three dots and do face cam. And what it does is it puts a little, see how it put a little window up there? Can you guys see that little window that it put up there? It's just showing my hand right now, but it actually shows so it will show the front and the back. So it's showing both cameras at the same time. So if you want to use that, you can show your face in the little window. I have my hand over here because it's just showing the back of my room because I'm in here. So I can turn that off and then it switches back. So you can use that. It also has a rotate camera option in there. So let me show you on. So there's an so I'm hitting the three dots on here. And let me do it on this other device really quick. So you just hit the three dots and there's different options. On the iPad, there's fewer options than there are on my iPhone. But just click the three dots and see the things that are in there that you can do. You can create a poll. You can do the camera preview, which was that little window that opened up. And then on my iPhone, I also had an option for a face cam and some other things. So play with that and see what the different options are on there. But yeah, if you want to learn how to use OBS software, that's something you can do. It's in the help.whatnot.com. Go in there and type OBS, and it will bring up the articles about how to set that up. It's software that you download on a computer on your laptop, which you then connect multiple devices and you can switch between them. I personally have not used it because it's a little bit complicated to use and it's glitchy depending on which one you use. So if you're not a really techie person, it's probably going to not be worth the effort to try and learn how to use it. And, so if you're just barely comfortable with going live and wanting to just use the basic devices, don't even worry about OBS. You don't need it. If you're kind of a techie, geeky person and you love that kind of stuff, definitely go for it. It will because you can really enhance your shows. You can add special effects. You can add, different camera views and other things like that. So just depends on what you want to do. All right. Welcome in. Please read the show notes. If you have questions, put them in chat with a question mark. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Speaking of that, it looks like I got them all. So we're just talking mostly about shipping today, but we can talk about whatever everybody wants. On my schedule, tomorrow evening, we're going to talk about attracting buyers and keeping people in your shows. So that's this show right here. So if you think that would be helpful, make sure you have that one bookmarked. That one I'll be in front of the camera with Bert talking to you. We'll see how he's doing. Right now he's sick with a cold, so he may or may not be there, but we'll be talking about attracting buyers, keep people coming to your shows, keep them in your show, what things you can do to really improve, people coming and staying in your shows. So, oh, thank you, Melson. All right. So, yeah, if you have any specific questions, shout them out in chat. And I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday with whoever wants to be here. And again, I multicast these onto YouTube. So if you miss one, you can always go rewatch it or re-listen to it. Not much to watch on these shows. I'm just showing my treadmill dashboard, but the other shows where we're in front of the camera, you can definitely rewatch those as well. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. And I'm kind of more, just really talk basics with people in these shows. I don't get into a lot of, you know, and these shows, I'm just on my treadmill. I just kind of go with the flow. Whatever's on my mind, whatever's on your mind. I don't have big, you know, planned stuff. It's just kind of a chat. Whereas the other shows where I'm in front of the camera, we have a specific topic. I'm more prepared with, detailed information on that topic to kind of guide you. So, make sure you have all of those types of shows bookmarked. These shows are probably a little bit more focused on new sellers or people that just want to come in and ask questions about something specific. So you're welcome to all of them. And I do enjoy helping other people be successful. Honestly, one of my, things that just thrill me is when I see someone who came to my seller chats and is now just like a booming success on whatnot. That makes me feel so happy because I helped someone, be successful. I want everyone to be successful. Everyone can if, they really want to. It's available out there for everyone. You just have to put in the work, put in the effort to learn how to use the platform. You do have to constantly be reassessing your business, and you have to be honest, and you have to do some soul searching with, how do you present things? What kind of things do you offer? Um, how are you sourcing? And are you being profitable with what you're sourcing? Maybe what you're sourcing nobody wants. Sometimes you have to face that hard reality. So there's a lot of intricacies about how to be successful reselling. Um, and I'll be honest, this platform's not for everybody because it really is about going live and being able to go live and do live shows. And if you just don't have, the personality, the drive, the stamina to do that regularly, maybe this isn't going to work very well for you. And that's okay. But it's also okay if you want to be more casual about how you utilize this platform. Some people just want to come on and be more social and have fun and sell a little bit, make enough money to pay for their own, the stuff they want to buy. And that's okay. That this platform allows for that because you can just come on here and make it something that's part of your life. You enjoy getting to know people, you enjoy selling and buying, and you're really not making a lot of money, but it's just part of something to do in your life. 100% okay. Whatever you want to do with this platform is fine because it's open for everybody. But I tell people, please be realistic about what it is you're wanting to do on here. Have a goal and write it down. If your goal is simply that, I need more social interaction in my life. I'm single, I live alone. I need friends, and I don't have a lot of ways in my local area to get that, and I'm getting it here. 100% okay. That's awesome. You're getting something, you know. If your goal is, I need this to be my full-time income and I need to make X amount of money to be able to pay my bills, your goal is so different, so vastly different than that other person, and you've got to do what it takes to make that happen. And scamming, being a scammer on this platform is not going to work. You will get shut down. Most of the time, you'll get shut down really fast. They have a lot of things in place, and it seems like, the faster we grow on Whatnot, the more scammers come. And that's because it's an amazing platform. You can do really well on here and make a lot of money, but you will get found out. So if you're here listening and you're the type of person that is trying to make money the wrong way, you'll get found out. You'll get shut down. You're not welcome, honestly. If you want to do an honest business and really provide a good service, good products, good customer service, you will fulfill your orders. Welcome. You're here, you're in the right place. We love it. Everybody can be successful. So, just be honest about what it is you're trying to do here. And if you're listening to me and you're a scammer, it's not going to work for you. You may be able to scam a few people and then you'll get shut down and they will ban you from the platform, and you'll keep trying and you'll get banned and you'll keep trying, and all you're doing is frustrating everybody and yourself. Quilter's Garden with the raid. Thanks for the raid. How are you today? Welcome in. This is a seller chat, and we're just talking about selling on this platform. Lynn's Vintage with the message. Thank you. I love helping, and you're welcome. So, those who just rated in, tell me if any of you, besides obviously Quilter's Garden, who is a seller, can everyone please tap Quilter's Garden's name in chat? And then it brings up this menu. And if you're not already following Quilter's Garden, click follow. And I'm going to view Quilter's Garden's profile. Quilter's Garden is Vicky, and her next show is today at 7 p.m. So we're going to click the little bookmark to bookmark that show and the next show and the next show. So go through and click as many shows as you can of hers to bookmark those upcoming shows. One of the most beautiful things about this app is that we have the ability to raid. And it's just a really awesome thing that you can do to network with other sellers, get yourself out there, be a community minded seller. I tell everybody on this app that you can come on here and sell and do well, but if you do it with the help and support and interaction with other sellers, you're going to do much, much better. And it's so much more fun that way. So always raid, get into raid trains, network with other sellers, and you'll have a lot more fun and you'll grow a lot faster. So it is all about community on this platform. And that was verified by the CEO when on about, it was about a month ago, or maybe it was less than a month ago, Kenny interviewed on this Whatnot seller account. He interviewed the CEO of Whatnot. Let me show you that video on here. So I'm going to the Whatnot account. And it's this interview right here where he interviewed Grant. And guess what Grant said when someone asked, how did you come up with this idea for Whatnot? Because he and his partner are the ones that started it. And he said, we wanted a place that we could come and have a more interactive experience while selling the stuff that we like. So that was their intent from the very beginning, was to have this social media experience intertwined with selling. Do you think they achieved it? Boom, it's like exploded, probably bigger than they ever possibly imagined. So yes. So make sure you go watch that interview too. It was a good interview. And he talked a lot about stuff that they're going to be focusing on this year, updates they're going to bring. Some of those are coming down the pike really soon. So exciting things coming. How many of you have noticed a big upkick or what is the right word to say? A big uptick of new people in your shows? Even if they aren't buying, are you getting more new people in your shows? So a show that I did, let's see, which show was it? Saturday. Exactly half of my buyers were new buyers. I didn't look at yesterday's show yet at that statistic. But yeah, it's a huge amount of new buyers. They've been bringing in new buyers like crazy. The thing they did over the weekend with the Super Bowl brought a ton of new people to the app. And that might have been a little short-term, huge influx, and not everyone's going to stick around, but a lot of people will. So big uptick of new buyers. That's exciting. You always need new buyers. So that's super exciting. All right. Any questions? Anything anyone needs me to point them to for help? I'm going to get going here pretty quick. Because I need to get some stuff done today. Go check on poor Bert, who's got a nasty cold. And I'm hoping I don't get it. I'm trying not to. So Lynn says, yesterday I found 4 people in a random gas station. I needed water. None of those folks had heard of Whatnot. Yeah, it's still, even with, the advertising and everything that's been going on, it's still not a household name. Everybody right now, household names are Whatnot, are, Amazon, eBay, pretty much everybody's heard about those, right? Whatnot still is not there. What does that mean? It means the opportunity for growth is still, if you look at a marketing growth curve, we're still, down here. And, if you look at a marketing growth curve, it goes like this, and then it plateaus. We're still way down here, you guys. What does that mean? It means the potential for you to grow on this app is still exponential. So yeah. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. So Lisa says, I haven't signed up for a seller's account yet. Am I able to access the videos in your show notes? Yes. So just go to, all of those things are just public. They're out there. You don't have to be a seller yet to go access all of that. So you can go to YouTube, watch everything on my YouTube. You can go to YouTube and watch everything on that Whatnot app account. You can go to the Seller Academy and watch all of those before even applying to sell. You may want to apply to sell before you go through the whole Seller Academy, just because it will make more sense if you can actually do some of the things they're showing you how to do. But yeah, you can go access all that content even if you haven't, signed up to sell yet. So, yep, make sure you take a big screenshot of everything in those show notes. Everything I have in my auction tab are all just informational things. You know, I have a few things in there that are my original content, but mostly I'm just sharing links and showing people where to go to get info. So I'm just like a clearinghouse of information. So, yep. All right, let's go find someone to raid and wrap this up. And I'm on here again every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7:45 Mountain Time. And you can rewatch these on YouTube. So if you miss them, just go to my YouTube channel, which is in the show notes, second paragraph, and you can rewatch my lives. Or you can watch and rewatch just on YouTube as well. All right, let me go find someone for us to raid into. We're doing fabric today. Let's go raid into What Goes Around. She's a fun friend and buyer and seller. So we'll go right into her, and everyone have a marvelous day. Make it a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Here we go.